Welcome back to another episode of Gears and Glory. We have our second deep dive episode, and this one is Spygate. I know for a fact we're going to blow the hell out of Sophia's mind. I think we're going to slightly blow Brittany's mind, hopefully. I think you know a bit about it, you're saying?
Yeah, I know it, but I don't know all the details.
Okay.
And I don't know anything.
It just sounded like a point blank statement. I just don't know anything.
And I don't know anything.
Doesn't matter about what. I don't know it.
Oh my
Okay,
god.
Sorry.
All right. A little bit of a cry, but that's fine. All right. Now, you're going to notice watching this, we've filmed these back to back. I'm not going to lie about it, it's pretty clear. But we probably should have started with this one, because this is actually set before Crashgate, which we just spoke about. But I guess this could potentially give you a bit of context on Crashgate as well. So maybe you'll understand that a bit more now. As to, I know Sophia had a question about sort of like, why would he purposely crash to help Alonso? And I guess this, like, not really, but it answers it a little bit. You'll see the, like, drama that unfolded in the previous year, 2007, which, I mean, it sort of adds up why they'd really push Alonso. But 2007 is the home and the setting of what is now dubbed as Spygate. And that saw the largest sporting fine in, like, history of sporting. And that was handed to McLaren of $100 million US dollars.
Wait.
US dollars.
100 million?
What? Yeah. Yeah. And not only that, they also lost the Constructors' Championship that they won that year. Why, you might ask? Because they were found with over 800 pages of confidential Ferrari technical information.
Is it public knowledge where they got that information?
Yes. That is my next point here. So the two key crucial players in Spygate were Nigel Stepney, hope I'm saying that right, who was from Ferrari, and his old friend Mike, I don't know how to pronounce this, but I think it's Coulin, I'm not sure, and he was the chief designer at McLaren. The basics are, a disgruntled Stepney felt he had been overlooked for a promotion, and so he decided to steal nearly 800 pages of confidential technical information from Ferrari, and it was about the 2007 Ferrari, which was doing quite okay. And he handed them over to his old mate Coulin, or Couglin, however you want to say it, as the two tried to get jobs with other teams. They were both planning on leaving Ferrari and McLaren, trying to go elsewhere, now both with hefty Ferrari technical information. But what caught Stepney and Coulin out was the fact that Coulin's wife, Trudy, tried to make photocopies of the documents in a shop in Woking. Yep. The only
That's
trouble...
where McLaren's based.
Yep. The only trouble...
Why would you do that? Go to a town over. What?
Literally anywhere else.
That's the issue, though. The fact that it was in a McLaren town, right? But the issue is that the owner of that print shop was a Ferrari fan, who immediately emailed the Scuderia with his suspicions.
Yeah, well, this was like one of Ferrari's like biggest primes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who was driving for Ferrari at the time?
Kimi Räikkönen, and I don't know.
Was that before Alonso? It was before Alonso went to Ferrari.
Yeah, Alonso and Hamilton are at McLaren at this point. Let me quickly...
Wow. Okay. I'm with it mentally.
Was it? Hang on. It wasn't Mick.
No.
I mean,
it might have been one of his last years.
Or was it Kim?
Of a quick Google search.
Me and Felipe Massa. That's right. Felipe Massa's a whole other story. I blocked that man out of my memory.
Seb was
repressed. Yeah, so that Ferrari fan immediately emailed Ferrari.
Insane.
And then, yeah, as well as legal proceedings in both Italy and the UK, the FIA opened up an investigation. They ultimately cleared McLaren on the basis that it was only Coulin who had acted alone, and that the Ferrari information wasn't shared with McLaren staff. Case closed, right? Wrong. That's where Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton come in. So, like I said,
no.
around Fernando Alonso. This man is a troublemaker. I love him though, so it's fine. So on paper, pairing the reigning two-time world champion of Fernando Alonso and the rookie of Lewis Hamilton should normally only have one person set as number one driver. You'd think Fernando Alonso would be number one driver. Hamilton put that to question in Monaco when he went dancing around the outside of Alonso into turn one, at the Australian Grand Prix, and then Monaco was the first fracture in the pipe that would turn nuclear. Hamilton was waved off by Ron Dennis for chasing Alonso for the win with an easy 1-2 in the bag and was not happy. But Dennis, a veteran of handling prickly driver pairings, if you don't know, he handled the pair of Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost to the prickly pairings. He misjudged Alonso, with the Spanish driver taking Dennis's comment of calling Hamilton off as an insult to his perceived number one status. It bubbled away through the summer, but erupted in Hungary qualifying with the famous block in Q3 by Alonso on Hamilton. I don't know if you know what that is.
Yeah, that's when, like, isn't it when, like, Alonso purposely, like, caused traffic so that Lewis would have a worse qualifying time?
Basically, Hamilton refused to cede position on track during the fuel burn laps. So Alonso just decided to hold him up in the pits just enough that he knew Hamilton wouldn't have enough time for another flying lap.
Yeah. Okay.
So that affected
Wild.
Alonso on pole.
I see.
Yeah. Oh, you're growling at me. Is this the part you like? Okay. Yeah, so because of that, Alonso was docked 5 places on the grid, so he lost his pole position, and McLaren were told that they would not be scoring any constructors' points for that weekend. Yeah.
They can just do that?
No, hang on.
Yeah.
Do they still? They don't still do
What
that.
happened to these people who were enforcing rules? They're gone.
Yeah.
Unsportsmanlike, FIA.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, so they lost their constructors' points for the weekend, which basically caused an argument between Alonso and Dennis to break out, and that reignited Spygate. Everyone had forgotten about it until this moment. During this argument, Alonso threatened Dennis to reveal new information about Spygate to the FIA while also making a demand. For more than a decade, what transpired was known only to a select few, but was revealed by BBC Sport in 2018, with Alonso demanding McLaren ensure Hamilton ran out of fuel in the race. That was his demand. If he didn't do that, he was going to release new information about Spygate.
Oh my God.
What? Okay, this gives so much context onto Hamilton and Alonso's relationship.
Yeah. So whenever you see that, like, you know, weird relationship where you're like, something's not right here, it's kind of like Bro-Sadies, but, like, not as bad, obviously, because they weren't friends.
But, like, because I came in and like, it's like, Fernando Alonso's like, he's like older, like everyone's favorite rookie jokes. Like, that's when I picked up following him, and everyone's like, you know, like his image now is so much better. And I'm like, better from what? From this right here.
2007 F1 grid was wild.
Yeah.
I feel like back then they did worse things and got in trouble for it. And now they do slightly less bad things, but don't get in trouble for it because it's just driving. It's just strategy.
But I also feel like there's a lot more backlash from the population.
Yeah.
If they do, like,
back then we're like, this is crazy, this is great, do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and like there wasn't like social media where there is now of like, I don't know. I would have, if like this had happened last year, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of it, like, the memes would not end. But because it didn't happen in a time when like meme generation was like occurring, it didn't like, you know, like catch on to the ride, basically.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, people still talk about like that infamous block, but why aren't we
Yeah.
talking about Spygate? Which is kind of why I wanted to make this episode, because why aren't we talking about it enough?
Yeah.
Because this was actually insane. I mean, there's still more to it, but like, even up to this point, insane.
Well, yeah. So hold on. So table of contents for everything so far has been there was the 800 pages of Ferrari stuff that was sent to McLaren that they quote unquote like got cleared from because it wasn't shared with McLaren.
Yeah.
And then as an additional layer, there's all the drama going on between Lewis and Alonso at McLaren right
Yeah.
after this happened. And
Yeah.
then because of the drama, Fernando's upset and threatens to bring new information about ye old 800 Ferrari pages.
Yeah.
Oh my god. You mean there's more?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
Yeah. So Dennis obviously immediately conferred with his trusted number 2, Martin Whitmarsh, sorry. Always say that wrong. And informed the FIA president, Max Mosley, with Alonso retracting his comments later that Sunday morning. It was during this hearing, Dennis informed Mosley of Alonso's claim about more information, but the FIA boss was already aware and reopened the investigation. It was during that hearing that McLaren received the $100 million fine, but crucially, with a three-way title battle bubbling away nicely between Alonso, Hamilton, and Kimi Raikkonen, Alonso and Hamilton both kept their drivers' points. As Alonso,
hold on. So what's so interesting to me though is that the fine is in US dollars.
Yeah.
Because it's Ferrari in Italy and
I think it's just more
just
so
counting.
why they're
I think most
public.
Yeah, I think most like international bodies that work across multiple countries, they always kind of use USD because everyone like the that everyone uses to like set the conversion and things like that. So I think USD is just like what every country uses when they're cross fining and stuff. But you would think it would be pounds because Formula One, especially at that time,
it's always been in the UK.
Yeah.
Even if it was in euros.
Yeah.
It's all very odd.
Yeah. It's strange, but I think that's what it's like now, anyway.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense, but it's also like, if you're gonna make someone pay it, you could, like, at least make them pay it in their home currency.
Yeah.
They're like, no, you made the mistake, you figure out how much you need
also to pay. Convert it.
Yeah.
Converting yourself, we're not doing that.
Yeah, literally. But yeah, that's wild enough. But then, as Alonso feared, McLaren would end up losing that title to Kimi Raikkonen and left 2007 empty-handed, having been set to win the constructors in their own right by 9 points. Legend has it that Mosley told Dennis that $5 million of the fine was for McLaren's actions, and the remaining $95 million was for him being foolish, although Mosley apparently described it in a far fruitier 4-letter term. Yeah.
That's...
I'm assuming it's like fucked around.
Who ended up having to pay?
Well, I think I get into this later on. I wrote notes about it somewhere. But because Mercedes was a 40% shareholder, they were actually responsible for $40 million of the fine. Yeah. Yeah. Even though they'd done nothing wrong. So obviously Whitmarsh then agreed to allow Mercedes to crowbar an engine into the back of the Brawn Grand Prix 001 of 2009 as like a compensation sort of thing. But even so, that's absolutely wild. But as you can expect, Dennis then stepped down as McLaren's team boss ahead of the 2009 season, handed control to Whitmarsh, but drove him out in 2014. This is where it's like a back and forth, like, hold on for the ride, this is like an Alpine change in like
just like a rotating door.
Yeah, basically. So, yeah, Dennis stepped down as team boss ahead of 2009 season, handing control to Whitmarsh, drove Whitmarsh out in 2014, returning as boss for the failed Honda reunion, which our next episode we'll get into. Dennis himself was then driven out in 2017, leaving McLaren in June of that year, and has kept a low profile ever since. Where did he go?
Self timeout, baby.
Yeah, it's like the bloody Renault, just putting yourself in timeout. Obviously returned to Renault for 2008. We know what happened there. Having had his McLaren deal ripped up before joining Ferrari in 2010. His patience at the Scuderia's inability to produce title-winning cars, while Sebastian Vettel and then Hamilton racked up wins and titles in 2010 to 2014, led him to return to Woking for 2015 to work with Dennis. But perhaps the biggest impact was on McLaren. The team was effectively placed on probation for 2008, with the MP423 being subject to investigations to ensure that no Ferrari DNA was present. Hamilton would claim his first championship, but a crucial wedge was driven between McLaren and engine supplier Mercedes. There's too many
Wait, but that's crazy, because like, what if you have an idea that just so happens to also be an idea that someone at Ferrari had? Are you like, are they just like not allowed to use it then?
I guess so.
Or like, I mean, have to prove like this idea was an original idea, which is, how do you even do that?
I have no idea. I guess you just have to not use it, hey?
That's
yeah,
wild.
But I mean, yeah, that like Mercedes-McLaren relationship was obviously quite tense after McLaren was fined $40 million. Mercedes was fined $40 million dollars for doing nothing wrong.
Just for being involved.
So yeah, Spygate really
did go to Mercedes like in 2009.
Pardon.
When did he go to Mercedes?
Hamilton.
Oh no, wasn't it 2014? I feel like he's been there 10 years. I feel like they just did his 10-year post.
2014 or 2014. Yeah, one of the two.
Interesting.
Maybe on the table. Yeah, but yeah.
Wow.
Sophia's so shocked she's frozen.
There's like, the way that the domino effects happen, like one right after another, and then they like pause, and everyone's like, oh, everything's fine, actually. Yeah. If you close your eyes and turn the lights off, you can't even see it. Yeah. And it's like, you can,
if it makes it any better, the mysterious 2015 Barcelona testing quite literally also follows on from this. You know, I just spoke about how Alonso went back to McLaren in 2015 and spoke about Honda's failed reunion. That's quite literally the basis of the mysterious Barcelona testing. Like, that's where.
But then why aren't more people like talking about this now that McLaren's doing well? Sorry, Brett, you were going to say something.
No, I was going to say Barcelona testing is wild.
Yeah.
But I feel like just not a lot of people know about it. I feel like they need to do like an historical DTS season or something where they deep dive into. But I feel like unless you go searching for videos that explain this, you don't know. You don't know about it.
And that's the thing. It's like there are so many newer F1 fans, and it's a good thing. But I feel like their eyes need to be opened to these earlier F1, not necessarily like issues, I guess, but like
events.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in a sport where I feel like there's like so much to do with like the drivers themselves, and it's all about like image and politics, and it's like one of those gentlemen's sports where there's all of this like, it's the sport and it's also all the talk and it's also all the money and also everything about it. Like these conspiracies are like also such a huge part of it, and like part of why Alonso does what he does, why people react to him who know about it in the way that they do.
Yeah.
He isn't just like our sweet old favorite rookie.
Yeah.
He was stirring the pot.
That's the thing, you know, that like classic press conference that we see, and they're talking about like what Alonso is going to do after he retires. And he's like, maybe I'll come back as FIA boss. And Hamilton's like, not while I'm racing. And everyone's like, haha, that's hilarious. Like, he doesn't want, like, somebody he's competed against to boss him around. No, babe. He thinks that he's going to fuck him over like he did in fucking Hungary. Like, you know what I mean? And that's the thing. We need this, like, deep dive shit because people don't know that. And they just think it's a funny little joke. Man's scared for his life.
Yeah, I don't know. Wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. That was more interesting than I thought it would be.
There's a lot of, like, underneath information. Even when people talk about Spygate, they just do the basics. They go, Alonso held up Hamilton in that pit stop. So Alonso said, I'm going to release information. That started an investigation. 800 Ferrari document pages were stolen. And that's sort of the extent of it. I'm like,
well, I didn't even know about all that. My extent of Spygate was just that Alonso held up Hamilton and then there were consequences for that, but that was it. I didn't know about any of the Ferrari pages. So that's wild.
I feel like anytime I've, like, before I deep dived into Spygate, the only way people had sort of explained the, like, Ferrari documents getting to McLaren, the way they explained it, I thought that somehow Alonso stole. I thought it was placed a lot later years than it did. I thought it was after Alonso had gone from Ferrari to McLaren and Alonso had taken it, and I was like, that's okay. So I feel like, yeah, that's the only way I had heard of it, and I was like, that's odd. So that's when I deep dive and was like, that is not the case at all. But I almost feel like this is wilder than Alonso just taking documents. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and then also the fact that they were like, yeah, we're going to steal this, we're going to steal all this information, and then we'll leave it. No one will know.
Yeah.
Like, there was so much behind the scenes, like, scheming.
Yeah.
Like, I would just love to be privy to those conversations.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe I need to become like an FIA boss or something. I want the drama.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite, like, some of the best clips in, like, Drive to Survive are, like, when Gunther Steiner's on the phone with Gene, and he goes away, but he's still mic'd up. Wait, did you guys see him do the apple dance with his daughter?
Yeah.
Sorry, side note. Made my absolute month at this point.
I love his smile. He's just like...
He's just excited to be there. But, like, I would love to hear those, like, the sponsors conversations, like, the conversations with, like, how did James Vowles woo Carlos Sainz in his hotel room? Wink, wink. Like, the way he said that, so normal.
Also, why wasn't there one? Why?
Yeah. He's, like, so normal, so casual about it. Not very mindful, not very demure. To not share that with us. So, anyways.
Yeah.
I would love to just... Yeah. Maybe we do our own Spygate and just spy on all of them.
We start, like, a spy company and, like, be like, you're aware that we're there. Yeah. But you don't need to tell anyone.
I just want to know. I'm not going to tell anyone. You can trust me.
Yeah. Because
we'll be in the same company.
Actually got fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that could be fun.
Wild.
Crazy. Well, that was
that monstrosity was Spygate.
Monstrosity. Yeah.
I think that's the only word for it. That one's quite heavy. Like,
it's like untangling spaghetti. Yeah. Like, you find the end of a noodle and it's just connected to something else you didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes. Wait,
that really did it for Brittany.
Oh, man. God, yeah.
It was a good one. I had that before.
Maybe I need to have a snack.
It's dinner time.
I know.
Yeah. Well, that was our Crashgate deep dive. I think we successfully blew Sophia and Brittany's minds.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I twitch from that. Like, yeah. Yeah.
Have you guys seen It's Always Sunny? The Pepe Sylvia, like, Charlie Day, and there's, like, all the red yarn and a million posters. That meme. And that's how I feel.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, just you wait, sunshine.
Oh no.
Yeah. Well, if you haven't already seen our Crashgate deep dive, which will probably be posted before this one, go check that out because that was also slightly mind-blowing for the girls. And keep your eyes peeled for the 2015 mysterious Barcelona testing deep dive, which will be I don't know when because as we're filming this, it is Friday the 16th of August for Britt and I, and Thursday the 15th.
Yeah, we love time zones, baby.
Woo! And that means it's quite literally race week.
Officially,
It
I
is
have
race
to
week.
restart my KO
Almost.
subscription.
Yeah, I always pause it. Hey,
Yeah, save me
but
that
yeah,
$25.
double race week for Australia. We've got a supercars race week as well this weekend.
Nice.
Mania. But yeah. With that being said, I guess thanks for watching this episode.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time. I dare say the next video is probably either another deep dive or back to regular programming of our race week reviews.
Oh.
So we'll see you then.
See you.
Bye.